let's make some koffiebroodjes. Koffiebroodjes are Dutch pastries. They're a spiral bun with pastry cream inside and raisins, and then with a little drizzle of icing, and they're delicious. So let's start off with our dough. First thing we want to do is roll our dough out into a square. So we're going to flour the work surface a little bit because it's a sticky dough. Put some on the dough too. So just keep moving your dough around and make sure there's some flour under it so it doesn't stick to your work surface or to your rolling pin. As long as you keep it moving, it shouldn't stick. That should work. All right, now we're going to put the filling on. So the filling for koffiebroodjes is pastry cream. So if you made it beforehand and you chilled it, make sure you whisk it a little bit with your whisk to make sure there's no lumps in it, just to smooth it out. We want to cover all the dough with pastry cream, but we want to leave just like ½ an inch on one side that we're going to use to glue the roll together. So cover everything except for that little ½ inch or 1 centimeter on one side of your dough. Okay, now we're going to put the raisins on. So koffiebroodjes have pastry cream and raisins. So this, again, just try and sprinkle them as evenly as you can. Make sure there's raisins everywhere, also on the sides, because otherwise your buns at the end won't have any raisins. Now what we want to do is brush this edge that we left free of filling with a little bit of water. You can use a pastry brush, I just use my finger. So I got a little bit of water here, just dampen it. Doesn't have to be swimming in water, it just needs to be a little bit tacky so that when we roll it all up, that it holds itself closed. All right, now we're going to start rolling. So we want to roll starting on the opposite side of where you just made your dough tacky. So I'm going to use my dough scraper or bench scraper. And you want to try and make it pretty tight, but don't make it so tight that all your filling squeezes out. Almost there. All right. So now we have a nice sausage. So now we want to cut our roll into buns. You could try and do that with a knife, but the problem is that the filling is really soft. So if you press on it with the knife, all the filling is going to squeeze out. So we have a special trick, which is dental floss. Just regular dental floss that you use to floss your teeth. Take a length of it, and what we're going to do is use this to cut slices of our dough. So first we're going to do the ends. So just gently slide it underneath. I'm going to cut the ends off because they tend to be a little bit uneven. So we're just going to throw those out. And we'll do the other side too. So just slide it underneath, cross your dental floss, and pull. All right, so I've got my baking paper ready. So I'm gonna just slice them up and put them on there. First we're gonna figure out how we're gonna make 12 buns. So divide it up a little bit, depending on how far you roll it out, about 3 or 4 centimeters thick each. All right, so let's do this. Slide your dental floss underneath to where you wanted to cut it. Cross it over where you wanna cut it, and tug it, bloop. And keep doing that until you have 12 rolls. All right, so now we have 12 buns. You can move them around a little bit, make them a little bit rounder if you want, but a lot of times when they're rising and baking, they'll sort of even themselves out a little bit. Try not to put them too close to each other. I put them a little bit close, because when they rise, they'll touch each other and become more square instead of round. All right, so let's get these covered with some plastic wrap, and then before we put them in the oven, we'll brush them with some egg wash, and then we'll bake them. When they come out of the oven, they get brushed with apricot jam and drizzled with a little white icing. Enjoy!